Note that A is not equal to the zero ideal. As of now, A is only a set, but whatever be the case, A is not equal to the zero ideal. And what is the reason? Because AB belongs to A. AB is an element which is divisible by both A and B. Also, since A and B are non-zero, according to our definition of LCM, we are considering non-zero elements. So that's why their product will also be non-zero. Keep in mind, we are in a Euclidean ring, which is by definition an integral domain. So if we multiply two non-zero elements, the product will also be a non-zero element. So that's why AB is a non-zero element in A. So whatever A may turn out to be, it's a set. We will now show that it's an ideal actually, but it's not the zero ideal. And this also shows one more thing, that A not only is A not equal to the zero ideal, but A is non-empty. It has some element in it. So we can now proceed to show that A is an ideal. So let X and Y be two elements in A. Then A and B divide X, and also they divide Y. Which imply A and B both divide X minus Y. Thus X minus Y belongs to A. Which shows that A is a subgroup of R under addition. So that's the first thing we need for A to be an ideal. Next, for any R, any element R belonging to R, we have, since A and B both divide X, so they will also divide Rx. This comes directly from divisibility, properties of divisibility. Thus Rx belongs to A. And since we are in a Euclidean ring, things are commutative, multiplication is commutative, so XR also belongs to A. This shows A is an ideal of R. But R is a Euclidean ring, so every ideal is a principal ideal. And since A is not equal to the zero ideal, so the element that will generate A, it will be a non-zero element. Since R is Euclidean, A is equal to this for some element C not equal to 0 in A itself. Okay. Yeah, this is coming from the first result of Euclidean ring, that every ideal is a principal ideal. Since C belongs to A, since C itself is an element of A, so by definition A and B will both divide C. Okay, let K be an element of R such that A and B both divide K. To show that C is a least common multiple of A and B, by definition we have to show that C divides K. Now what does it mean for both A and B to divide K? According to this definition, K will now be an element in A. Then K will belong to A. Now if you recall the proof of the result where we have proved that all ideals in a Euclidean ring are principal ideals, what is the nature of this C? C is an element in the ideal A such that the D value of C is minimal, if you remember, and it turned out that because of that all the elements of A are actually multiples of C. In fact, that's also true from the very fact that A is equal to the ideal generated by C, which is nothing but the set of all multiples of C. So because of that, since K belongs to A, K will also be a multiple of C. This implies C divides K. We now have all the things to be able to say that C is a least common multiple of A and B. Hence, C is a least common multiple of A and B. So A and B were any two non-zero elements in the original Euclidean ring. We have shown that their least common multiple exists, and here the solution ends. Now this is the final exercise, the eighth one, which says that GCDs and LCMs are related. In the above exercise, if least common multiple of A and B is denoted by this notation, which looks like a closed interval. But we are in algebra and these are not real numbers necessarily. So these are general Euclidean ring elements. So this denotes least common multiple of A and B. Then prove that this is equal to AB divided by this. You can see that a similar result is true in the ring of integers. The only condition there is that both A and B have to be positive, not only non-zero but positive. Now before we start this solution, there is a problem with the way this exercise has been presented. Can you guess the problem? The problem lies in this part of this last equation, what we have to show. What is the meaning of AB divided by A comma B? Before we solve the exercise, let us note that, or let me write it like this. What does this mean? Keep in mind that all these things are happening in a Euclidean ring. And in a general ring, because Euclidean rings are also after all rings, fields are particular types of Euclidean rings, but there are clearly, we can find examples of Euclidean rings which are not fields. And the first example, such example is the ring of integers, which is a Euclidean ring but it's not a field. Now, if in the context of integers you are dividing an integer by something, then it has to make sense. Now, this also has to be an integer, but which integer? We have to address this properly. Otherwise, without that interpretation, this exercise is meaningless. Note that since this divides AB, actually it divides both A and B, and that's why it divides AB also. There exists an element K belonging to, or if you get confused, if you confuse this K with the previous K that we wrote in the previous solution, so let us write this Z. Z belonging to R such that AB is equal to Z times A comma B. Because A comma B divides AB, so AB is a multiple of A comma B, where this element, there will be some element in R, the Euclidean ring, for which this will happen. There is no problem with this equation because this equation makes sense in the ring itself. We don't have any division, we just have multiplication, which is there in the ring. Okay. Since R is an integral domain, this element Z is unique. You can see, if you assume that there are two values of Z, then say Z1 and Z2, then Z1 a comma b will be equal to Z2 a comma b, and since a comma b is non-zero, so we can cancel a comma b from both sides, and that's possible because R is an integral domain, giving us Z1 is equal to Z2. So this Z that is appearing because of this divisibility is actually unique by AB by a comma b we mean this element Z. That's what we mean. So it exists and it's a unique thing. It's a unique ring element. We can also, but there is still another way of making sense of this quotient of two elements. We can also view this as an element in the field of fractions of R. Since R is a Euclidean ring, being a Euclidean ring, R is an integral domain, so we can create its field of fractions in which it will be embedded. So in that field of fractions, this makes sense, keeping in mind that a comma b is not 0. So although a comma b, the GCD of a and b as an element in the Euclidean ring may not have an inverse, that is, it may not be unit, but in the field it always has an inverse because it's non-zero in the larger field which contains this Euclidean ring. Okay, so now that the interpretation of this is out of the way, we understand what it means. So now we can solve the problem. Okay. It is easy to see that A divides AB by a comma b and B also divides AB by a comma b. Why is that true? You see, let us make sense of this. We can write AB by a comma b in this way. Keep in mind that this calculation is happening in the field of fractions, so this is valid. Or if you want, you can interpret this as still as that Z or Z, and you will see that still this is true. Okay, this on this side we have Z, on that side we have something else, but that also has a similar interpretation. So because this is again a ring element, why? Because the GCD divides A. So we have been able to express this element as a product of two ring elements. One of them is B, so that's why B divides this. Similarly, if you write this same thing like this, then this tells you that A divides this. So A and B both divide this element AB by a comma b. Let C be an element in R such that both A and B divide C. Then C will be equal to say AU. C is a multiple of A and C is also a multiple of B. For some elements U and V in R. One more thing that we can write is that GCD of A and B is a linear combination of A and B. We already know this, so that also we have to use. Also, for some elements lambda and mu in R, we have this equal to lambda A plus mu B. Okay, now we are going to make use of all these things available to us. Then we have a calculation here. V lambda plus U mu times AB by A comma B. Okay. Now, if we use the distributive law, right distributive law, and also the fact that multiplication is commutative and associative, we can write this whole thing like this: lambda times A. So we have lambda and A together, and we have V, and we also have B divided by B by A comma B, plus U times A by A comma B mu B. Okay. A times U and B times V. Now, instead of writing it like this, we try to, this will not be helpful. This way of writing won't be helpful. We try to find C in this. Distributive law, of course, we will have to apply here, but we have to try to find C. So, in the first term, we have C in the form of BV, because BV is equal to C, and if we multiply this by this, we will have BV. Exactly how we will have BV? We have this lambda A BV. Similarly, here in the second term we will have AU. So AU mu B so now this gives us lambda A by A comma B C plus C mu B by A comma B. Now you can take C common out, and you will have lambda A plus mu B divided by A comma B. If it seems strange that we are just simply going on calculating everything as if these are real numbers, and you are wondering how this calculation will make sense if A comma B is appearing in the denominator and at all times we are in the real, Yes, that is true. If you want, you can think of it like this. This calculation is in the field of fractions of the integral domain, and that will tell you that there is no problem with this calculation. But keep in mind that we are not in calculating this with these terms, we are not going outside the ring ever. To make sense of that, you try to interpret these elements lambda a by a comma b as ring elements themselves. If you do all the things in detail, you will see that all the things fall through and everything is okay. And this is equal to, okay, so here comes the thing. From this, a comma b is equal to lambda a plus mu b, and from the interpretation that we have here, this is actually equal to 1. So that's why we have C. Okay, so this is equal to C. So what does this tell me now? As a whole, this thing is equal to C. This is after all an element in the ring. There is no doubt about that. These are all ring elements, u, v, lambda, mu. So this expression involving them is also a ring element. So C equals a ring element times this ring element Z. So that means this divides C, which implies so not only are A and B dividing this element, but this element divides every common multiple of A and B, such as C. So by definition, this is a least common multiple of A and B. Hence, so here the exercise ends, and this ends the section 3.7. After this, we will naturally we will have to go to section 3.8, but we will go back to analysis because we have not touched it for a long time. So there we will see Cartesian products of sets in full detail in the context of Zermelo-Fraenkel choice set theory. So the video ends here. If you are new here, please subscribe to my channel, A Mathematical Room. I am Lucifer, signing off for now. Have a nice night.